The man cut off his own lifeblood and hanged himself in an abandoned well because his wife cheated on him. The reason was that he used magic to turn himself into a ghost, to take revenge on a third party. What weird and bizarre things happened here? Welcome to the Ghost Case Record. Yujing Ligui, a rural road away from the hustle and bustle of the city. Today, a few police cars suddenly came. At this time, the local public security bureau was very strict with the police. An abandoned well being inspected for traces. Soon after the inspection, the policeman back at Kenta to check. It turns out that Kento and Hu Bufan rushed here after receiving the notice and have been waiting here for a long time. They have been waiting for the end of Jiang's work before starting further investigation of the case. Kenta then ordered Hu Bufan to pull up the things in the well. Hu Bufan turned the deer on the well, according to the instructions of the piano head, and the well rope was pulled back little by little with the rotation of the deer head. The well rope was stretched very straight. Obviously, the weight of the things hanging in the well is not light. As the well rope slowly retracted, a man's body gradually appeared at the mouth of the well. It was a man who was hanged underground by the well rope. When the body slowly stretched out of the well mouth, all the people present were surprised to find that this man was wearing a strange suit, a bright red female dress. The police next to him hurried over and helped Hu Bufan pull the body out. Only then did everyone realize that the man was not only wearing a woman's red dress, but also had heavy makeup on his face. The man's legs were covered in blood, and the blood was still running down his legs. Then the body was placed on the flat ground next to it. Everyone present was shocked and puzzled by the strange death of the man. Is the man a suit or what? Wearing a feminine dress and heavy makeup. The accompanying forensic doctor immediately conducted a preliminary examination of the corpse. At this time, Hu Bufan looked into the well curiously. Unexpectedly, Hu Bufan, who's always been bold, was taken aback by this look. It turned out that there was a distorted human head in the well, staring at him firmly. Hu Bufan fell to the ground and took 2 steps back. Fortunately, he was supported by the piano head beside him. He said, "Master, there are ghosts in the well." Hearing Hu Bufan say that there are ghosts in the well, Kento immediately looked down the well. But Kenta has rich experience, and he can see the problem at the bottom of the well at a glance. It turns out that there is a mirror installed at the bottom of the well, and the distorted head is the image of the mirror. Just when Hu Bufan was still wondering why a mirror was installed underground, the forensic doctor came and said that the preliminary examination had been done. The forensic examination results showed that the deceased died of mechanical asphyxiation, a suicide, and there was no possibility of homicide. The blood on the leg of the deceased was caused by cutting off the lifeblood with a sharp weapon. Judging from the edge of the knife, it is very likely that he cut it with his own hands. The results of the forensic examination made everyone present unacceptable for a while, wondering how someone could commit suicide in such a strange way of death. But Kenta thinks that things may not be that simple. There should be some kind of connection between all the weird behaviors. The head of the piano connected all the doubts together, and suddenly realized that the deceased should be using some kind of sorcery to turn himself into a ghost after death, so as to achieve his goal. The most urgent task is to find out his identity and find out who the deceased is trying to harm. At this moment, an old man among the onlookers was the village secretary of the village. He said that the deceased was a member of his village. Kento immediately said, "Old man, quickly take us to the deceased's house," and then led Hu Bufan to the village under the guidance of the old man. 10 minutes later, under the guidance of the old man, Kento and Hu Bufan came to the home of the deceased Luo Yangshui. But after knocking on the door for a long time, no one came to open the door, so Hu Bufan knocked open the door. But when they saw the situation inside the house, both of them were heartbroken. "I saw a female corpse lying on the ground in the house. There was a long knife cut on the neck, and blood was flowing everywhere. It was obvious that she had been dead for a long time." Kento immediately notified the accompanying forensic doctor to check the corpse first. The forensic doctor then conducted a preliminary examination of the woman's body which revealed that the death was a homicide, and the dead woman has been dead for more than 12 hours before the man who committed suicide at this time. The village secretary also confirmed that this woman is Luo Liangshui's wife. Last night, many villagers heard the fierce quarrel between the deceased husband and wife. At that time, a neighbor came to persuade them to fight. He also heard Luo Liangshui shouting to kill his wife. I am afraid that his wife killed him. Hearing this, Kenta realized that since Luo Liangshui killed his wife, he committed suicide and turned into a ghost, and the person who wanted to kill him should be someone else. Jian Kun's book only mentioned that Luo Liangshui and his wife had a quarrel, but the content of the quarrel was not mentioned. Kenta felt that there must be something hidden in it, and then asked, Luo Liangshui must have other enemies. There are several items in the village branch. Kenta asked, and no longer concealed it. He sighed and talked about the shameful scandal between Luo Liangshui and his wife. It turned out that Luo Liangshui had been working out of town, and his wife, who stayed at home, had an affair with a divorced man in the same village. This was no secret in the village, but Luo Liangshui didn't know it. Got it right. Hearing the head of the piano, Luo Liangshui's strange way of death really has his purpose. Kenta didn't dare to delay, so he asked the village party secretary to take them to the divorced man's house. Several people trotted all the way to the divorced man's house behind the village. Seeing the closed door of his house from a distance, the hanging hearts of several people calmed down a little, thinking that he might not be at home. After all, Luo Liangshui had discovered the family relationship, and others would hide away. Hu Bufan tentatively stepped forward and pushed the door, only to find that the door was ajar. A bad premonition welled up in his heart. When Kenta and Hu Bufan entered the room and saw the scene in the room, they realized that it was too late after all. The man is dead inside the house. According to Kenta's years of experience in handling cases, it is analyzed that the man died of excessive fear. That is, he was scared to death. Seeing this situation, several people are helpless. This strange death case in the small village ended in this doomed ending, but Hu Bufan is still worried that Luo Liangshui, who has become a ghost, will harm other people. Kenta explained that the deceased turned into a ghost because of the use of sorcery combined with his own resentment, and he died. Once the enemy is killed, Li Gui's resentment will dissipate, and his soul will be scattered. Hearing Hu's pace, he sighed for a while, and felt that Luo Liangshui's doing so was really not worth it.